Ага, ему дайте я себе. Ой, как неудобно жить. Мордочка симпатичная. Так, ну без чего? Толку от этого ноль. Мы куда? Нам чего? Это что, шантаж Ванчеполя? Мне бы сейчас покачать здоровье. Наверное, пойду по побочкам. А вы чё? Вообще живем? А чё? Учить Катю драться. Катя не видит, как надо драться. Фига он мне снял. Листок, я заходила на что последний раз. Неделю назад точно. Что видео выходит неплохо, а вот мне маленько я сюда не загоняла. Ой, опа. Вампиры пьют кровь, я бы сказал, что это их отличительная черта, жуткое природное свойство. Но я никогда не считала это просто особенностью рациона. Я начал изучать вампиров, поскольку меня всегда завораживала их неодолимая тяга к крови, жажда настолько сильна, что иногда даже заставляет вампиров выдавать себя. Когда они пьют кровь, то, похоже, ненадолго впадают в транс. Это для них экстатическое. Что это за слово такое? Надо посмотреть потом. Откровение, как выразился один волкот, с которым я беседовал в Москве. Волкот — это типа вампир, да? Я убежден, что это ключевой элемент к применению природы вампиров. Они пьют кровь не для насыщения, именно потому что это приводит их в экстаз. Все вампиры без исключения зависимы от крови, такова их природа. И даже те бессмертные, что отказываются пить кровь и противопоставляют свою жажду лишь в силу воли, никогда не избавятся от зависимости. Разоблаченная ночь. Шертовка, глава братства Святого Павла. Плохо у меня тут все, да? Да, надо поискать документы побега. А я где вообще, если не секрет? Мир. Где я? Идти по сюжету. Давайте так. Давайте мы с вами сейчас сразу шнуой Чепеля походим по сюжетке чуть-чуточку и сгоняем в соответственно по побочке какой-нибудь одной. Хорошо побазарили, мне понравилось. Все, я вспоминаю, я умничка. Ты же знаешь, что я умничка? Вот это же не умничка. Пробелка это. Так, нам...
It's locked.
Мир, а можно узнать шкаф? Куда? Чекал. Да, немножко крыто не пускать.
I cannot enter.
I won't end up another drunk arsehole littering the streets. Not me.
Что скажешь?
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, alright? Now piss off.
Ну и яка.
Goodbye, young man.
Не мальчик он. Слышь, какие мужчины разговаривают? Что же он не мальчик? Привет.
Good evening, Benjamin.
I'm afraid.
Что тут? Что толкает тебя? Ну,
A gun?
женщина, мы с тобой базарили, нет?
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place. The famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam, if you ask me.
Да что ты говоришь?
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
И оно помогает?
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
Goodbye,
Я хочу посмотреть, что мне нужно для... Так, посмотреть, что ли? Давайте просто посмотрим, чего у меня мало. У меня мало кадеина, хинина.
When... Good evening.
I'd like to
Что
see...
можешь продать? Пергамент калия. Вот эти штуки тут нужны, Я бы купила пергамент. Я всего по чуть-чуть куплю. Только у меня это все будет. Фига, я сейчас богатая. Серьезно.
The gangs are ruined this neighborhood, if you ask me.
Гоняем быстрее, как в этом мире вообще происходит. Да, где? Я что-то вообще добавила. Боже, откройте мне карту. Капс, пожалуйста, выключись. Жизнь, объясни мне, что происходит.
Gangs are ruined this neighborhood, if you
Нифига. Мужик, а ты кто? А ты чё?
Christina is still working
Давай
nearby.
поболтаем, стой, пожалуйста. Мужик.
Good evening, sir. Do you remember me?
If you're here for a reward, you'll be sorely disappointed. But I'll gladly shake the hand of a fellow countryman.
I'm not here for a bounty. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed from the Pembroke.
A doctor? In Whitechapel? What an opportunity. My name's Bates, Cadogan Bates.
Do you require assistance, Mr. Bates?
Not me, but your skills could help a lot of people round here. That would help my business, because I say a live tenant's a paying tenant.
Подозрительно.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane. She's a nurse. What can you tell me about her?
Dorothy Crane, bless her soul. I really should thank her someday.
Я хотела спросить...
Since I took an oath to help people, can I be of assistance?
Well, seen better days, that's for sure. But it was bound to happen with all these refugees about.
Infecting you is probably the last thing on these people's minds. Take this, in any case.
What? You give me this for free? Don't have a clue about this place, do you?
И он типа еще сейчас против, да? Ну чё?
I'm...
Dorothy?
Has she treated you?
No. When I need a checkup, I'd go to a bloody doctor, not some back alley clinic full of sick foreigners.
Не любит мужик мигрантов, да?
What help could I possibly be to your business?
That's simple. I already get good money from all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
I understand, Dr. Reed, you're from a good family. Don't want to get your hands dirty. That's fine. I'll be happy to act as your middleman.
Мерзавец.
I've no interest in money. Perhaps one night I will visit you and take what I require. If that should happen, there will be no need for a middleman.
So it's a no then. That's too bad. The Reed tonic could have really helped people, you know, saved lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swanborough's shit.
Сейчас мы разберем, что у него там в этом коктейле.
It's unusual to see someone so happy around here, especially considering the current situation.
Why should I be sad now? There've always been wars, disease, tragedy. There always will be.
That's an unusual way of seeing things in these trying times.
I don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
What is your business exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well, deals can be done, if you know what I mean. Money's not the only currency. After all, I'm not immune to a pretty
Мы его
face.
сожрем. Мы его сожрем.
You obviously place yourself above the misery of Whitechapel, but you are as repellent an individual as I have ever met.
Begging your pardon, I thought you was a man who could appreciate the complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black and white, you know.
Пошел ты, мужик.
Tell me,
Я сожру.
what's your honest opinion of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took the bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
People are acting like the violence is news. But there's always been savage down here. It just bubbles to the surface every now and again.
Ну, здесь он прав.
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. It made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you.
Знаете, какой соблазн сейчас? Сожрать мужика.
I want to know everything about the recent violence, Cadogan. And I want the truth.
Well, rent may be a bit high, and yeah, I've had to evict a few people. But that's business, isn't it?
Sir, I wish I had found you a few nights later than I did. Or maybe never at all. Death would have been a well-deserved punishment for your villainy.
Yeah, but you saved me, didn't you? And you do it again, because you're a decent chap. Just know I'm not.
Take this as my final warning. You will not profit from the misery of others. Business is one thing, but what you do is quite another.
Really? What you gonna do? You ain't from here. You ain't Whitechapel,
Завались,
Doctor.
мужик.
You wouldn't know the first thing about playing dirty, even if you wanted to.
Вот того, блин, с обожженным лицом мне было жалко. Этого не жалко. Сожру. Нахрен. Но понимаете, в чем проблема этой игры? Ты кого-то ешь, и это кто-то тебе потом где-то когда-то будет нужен. Знаете, в чем проблема? Тут ставят людей так, что, мол, он такая тварь. Но, блин, Он тебе понадобится. Вот в чем проблема игры. Знаешь, так задумаешься, и жрать, не жрать. Так,
Goodbye, Mr. Bates.
я хочу узнать. Люди. Бейтс. Где эта тварь? Господи, епти. Восстановление. Неизвестно. Трам-пам-пам, трам-пам-пам, трам-пам-пам. По сюжеточке, наверное, сейчас. Мне, по-моему, нет того, что этим мужикам нужно. Да, у меня нет того, что этим мужикам нужно. Ну, к этим надо, короче, заглянуть. Что у нее? Мигрень. У нее мигрень, у него головная боль. У меня тут выполнено. Мне, короче, нужно с этими разобраться и с этими. Это неизвестно. На кладбище мы не пойдем. Это что? Нашли с часами. Продать кому-то другому. Так. Я обнаружен труп юноши. Он, похоже, убит, но его отличие от многих жителей стенлевских доков. Убили не Скали, а не Гриб. Возможно, стоит выяснить, в чем дело. А мы, короче, дадим. Я...
Can't you just look the other way this week, Joe? Come on, you can sort it out, right?
It's not my call, Barry.
Welcome, sir. Please, take a...
I am Doctor.
Doctor?
Мы с ним не базарили.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
Yes. Those bloody immigrants should know their place, eh? How dare they do a better job than the lazy natives of this land?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Right then.
Ясно. Я, короче, может, к тебе приду, когда раз буду девушка. Короче, я к тебе приду. Я к тебе приду.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Как-то так, может, это переведено в русском языке, но у меня с английским плохо, но вот как это показываться в субтитрах, это на самом деле, присуще, так сказать, подобному слою населения.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
You survive at any cost, even at the expense of others. Perhaps that's just the law of nature.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Пошли базарить с мужиком. Тем мужиком, который второй мужик.
You never... Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I've known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
It's never easy to find a new path in life, especially after the loss of a loved one. But crime is certainly not the best option.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against the Wet Boot Boy.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
Ну да ладно. Кто там на лестнице? Пошли побазарим.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I am able, sir.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth?
I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
Это логично, на самом деле. Нельзя говорить людям, которые делают что-то, что все плохо. Как бы два пути. Либо они ни хрена не будут делать, и все, подыхай. Либо это повысит... Это логично.
I served in France. Our top priority must be to put an end to this butchery. This war must stop now.
Sir, streets are a battlefield too. An invisible and untold war is going on, and it must be stopped.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
Ой, хотел бы я ему про это рассказать, но он вроде хороший.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
Ну, блин, по сути, уже более или менее терпимом времени к темнокожим я бы тоже опасалась. Темнокожий журналист, который вылезет к тебе, у тебя там какие-то делишки. Ну, блин, я не расистка, я не против. Ничего плохого в этом нет. Но, если по логике вещей... Они, по сути... Ой, это сложно.
I'm a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving public health and this epidemic.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain Nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious, never goes out, doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
Не бывает, что у людей нет ни друзей родных. Всегда у человека есть кто-то, ты... Знаешь, что нам понадобится в будущем?
He has no relatives at all?
No, except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that nurse Crane you mentioned.
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Для меня, как для атеистки, это все так... Я феминистка, атеистка, мать. Это никак не связано, но тем не менее. Вот это... У меня просто горит.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
Стерва ты, на самом деле.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences. And most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
По башке б тебе сейчас дать. Короче, у меня недавно был разговор с таким же, религиозным фанатиком. Как? Это было настолько глупо. Он сам себе противоречил. Знаете? Фанат и фанатик. Он отрицал то, что он фанатик, но говорил то, что он фанат веры, при том, что отрицал, что он религиозен, но в то же время он говорил, что Бог то-то, 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 но это не религия, а вера. Как бы. Понимаете, в чем суть? Немножко.
I am. What do you quite... Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
I have heard in... Good evening. Well,
as a doctor...
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Я тебя сейчас сама скальп сниму.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Fire is just the instinctive answer of a caveman facing something he does not understand. This is the 20th century.
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free
Слышь,
gift,
папаша!
go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Да. Не люблю таких плохих мужиков.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I sent him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Пока, мужик. Пока. Небольшой пакет, в котором спрятан купон на бесплатный. Ушли. Джон, пожалуйста. Слушайся меня. Сегодня жизнь, пожалуйста. Спасибо. Стой, женщина. Что вы говоришь?
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Она немая. Да.
I know what you're thinking. A tall stranger who meets a girl in the street at night. It reeks of the penny dreadfuls. But I mean you no harm, truly. Melia, I know you work for Dorothy Crane. Please tell me about her secret dispensary. A stubborn and mute comrade. Nurse Crane and Darius Petrescu have been clever. I know you understand what I'm saying. Your silence has nothing to do with you being mute, does it? Very well. Goodbye then. Hello again. Very well.
Куда? Сейчас мы окончательно сгоняем по этой сюжетке. Куда нам? Ничего нет. Здесь? Что ящик пишем. Нет никаких почтовых ящиков? Нам бы заканчивать силу.
The walls of your home will not protect you.
Зачем нужно быть, что ли? Я как-то далеко от микрофона сижу. Я обычно сильно к нему наклоняюсь. Сейчас я от него далеко сижу. Вот здесь. Мои дорогие горячо любимые дети, мне так жаль, что у вас несколько месяцев не было вестей от меня. В Лондоне сложная ситуация. Я знаю, что могу показаться эгоистом и дураком вам, но дети. Ну, вам мои дети, ведь вы все еще живете в стране, где идет война. Но здесь в Англии тоже идет война. Война с бедностью и несправедливостью. Это война, в которой я намереваюсь участвовать. Несмотря на свой преклонный возраст. Вот почему я вам сегодня в Румынию я не вернусь. Шумсь. У меня сейчас плохо с речью. Я спать хочу. Ой. Это означает, что, вероятно, я вас больше не увижу. Не грустите, мои милые, ведь вы уже взрослые. У вас свои дети. Вы знаете, на какие жертвы нужно идти, чтобы изменить мир. Вот жертву, которую должен принести я, чтобы снова почувствовать себя нужным. Желаю вам жить долго и счастливо. Поцелуйте от меня моих внуков и помните, что отец любит вас даже, когда находится в этой холодной стране. Любящий вас отец Дариус.
The content of Darius' letter to his children could give me more leverage to enter.
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick, though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crasionescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on the price of your medicine.
I am shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good manners. Thank you, sir.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Понятно.
Clayton Darby claims he will expose the crisis in Whitechapel to all of London. Do you believe him?
I believe Clayton's courage will erode with time, until he finally leaves Whitechapel to start another fight somewhere else.
Why this skepticism?
How can you speak about starvation if you've never been hungry?
Это не
Or
скепсис,
about
это
poverty?
реализм.
Or anything else you have never suffered from?
Are you talking from experience?
I've seen your type come here to get a good fuck in a cheap room or a dark alley before going back to their fancy houses in the West End.
Хотелось бы свой особняк в Эстенде.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Понятно. Понятно. Женщина понятно. Поболтать на чем-нибудь еще? Ну, ладно.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
Так, нам сюда. Нам бы...
Pay me a glass and I'll be gentle. Pay me a bottle and I'll be nasty.
О, какие предложения, женщина.
You look so pale.
Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay then.
Привет.
Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way. Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
Могу чё у тебя украсть? Я тебя вылечила или нет? Я не помню, на самом деле.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
Простите. Мальчик. Мальчик. Это не тот мальчик. Этот мальчик. Да, мальчик.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of...
Хочу еще посмотреть, короче, больна ли это не больна.
living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Я хочу почать здоровье, очень хочу.
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough like... Well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Ты?
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
I'm sure your father did his best when he found this house. Times are tough for everyone, young man.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
Дитя, думаешь, тебя кто-нибудь спросит, когда такая хреновая ситуация?
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so.
Плохо вообще меланхолия.
I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things.
Они с тем пацаном
Bloody
могут быть
and
друзьями.
frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
У него не так, короче, болезнь, когда боишься всего, нет? Ну, блин. Это подозрительно. У меня нога чешется. Ничего не скажешь, ничего не скажешь? Ага.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Блин. Ребенок. Дурак. Как чешется. Сейчас мне важно, потому что нога чешется.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
Меланхоличный пацан, на самом деле, очень. Что-нибудь есть вообще? Бомжи вы, на самом деле. Бомжи? Да? Интересно.
It's locked.
Почему мы не можем найти ключи? Мистер Питерсон, мой долг сообщить вам о том, что ваша просьба принять вас на работу в доке была отклонена. Я благодарен вам за то, что вы потратили время, объясняя сложность вашей ситуации, рассказали о том, что у вас болен сын, что умерла ваша дорогая жена. Но мой долг состоит также в том, чтобы разъяснить правила нашей компании. Они явно запрещают брать на работу бывших преступников и осужденных. Ваши связи со скандально известными мокрыми ботинками не укрылись от вашего внимания. Нашего. Нет. Сейчас тяжелые времена, сэр. Компания Винчи Харпер намерена прежде всего вознаградить кандидатов, прошедших небольшую проверку, которую мы устраиваем соискателям. От всей души сочувствуем, да не оставит Бог вас и вашу семью. Искренне ваш Харпер. Что-то мало, я чувствую, мы всего нашли. Надо поискать. Ага. Если вы заподозрили кого-то в том, что он вампир, Если вы заподозрили кого-то в том, что он вампир, не предпринимайте самостоятельных попыток его убить. У вас нет шансов, вместо этого обратитесь ко мне или постарайтесь найти профессионального убийцу вампиров. Их мало, но они знают, как справиться с этими жуткими существами. Часть из них, похоже, действует вместе под именем Стражи Превена. Это полувоенная организация, цель которой очистить Лондон от вампиров. Они ваши друзья, у вас нет вариантов. Господи, отправьте меня спать. Вы не один. У вас есть варианты. Действуйте с умом, расскажите об этом другим. Кларенс Кросли. За дополнительной информацией обращаться лично напрямую ко мне. Также Превена 2 нашли уже. Мало документов еще. Мало. Грустно. Одиноко. Плохо. Нам бы пора закончить это все действо. Я не знаю, мы, наверное... Я уже заговариваюсь, мне уже плохо. Хочу посмотреть, кто у нас болеет. Я даже не подумала его вылечить. Восстановление мигрень. Восстановление бронхит. Мужика надо вылечить.
Good evening.
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor. Who knows?
No.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London...
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
Unable to see the true horror around you.
Hello again. Very well. Goodbye.
Женщина, пока. Слушай, пока. Что-нибудь можем? Жизнь, прошу. Пощади. Сюда?
The walls of your
Да,
home will not protect you, for there is no protection.
Ой, ты мёртвый. Я счастливый. Им отсюда. Подисследовать пол. Найти Ричарда. Ну, туда, да. Только алкоголя. Алкоголь это всегда приятно. Всегда хорошо. Всегда приятно. Серию закончили. Не закончить серию.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you for a start, my dear Doctor.
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
Как романтично.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
Yes. The enjoyable silence of the grave. You have a unique perspective on the situation, I must admit.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir. Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much. And that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
Perhaps you're just afraid to find out the truth about your muse.
One day, perhaps, I'll ask her to come with me. But will she still be my wild flower of Whitechapel if she moves uptown?
And have you ever tried to learn more about her? Where she lives? How she survives? Whom she may know?
Maybe I prefer she remains an enigma. Reality can be so dull, don't you think?
In what... if you say so.
Such vibrant antagonism and vivid paradox. The stripped humanity raged across each street.
Vivid, of course, yes. And what about the poignant distress?
Oh yes, the poignant distress. You see what I mean, don't you? That's what I want to write about, and that's what Whitechapel is made of.
Did you know the mute florist is a member of a secret society?
No, I didn't. But I thank you for this information, sir. For it only enriches the mystery surrounding the precious camellia.
Are you not curious? Is there not more you wish to know?
That girl has not an ounce of malice in her. Whatever she may be hiding, it's certain to be for the benefit of most, if not all.
I fear you are a hopeless romantic, Mr. Nethercote.
Guilty as charged, Dr. Reed.
May I ask you a few questions about the district?
Extraordinary part of town, is it not? I'll be glad to help you, if I can.
I'm looking for Dorothy Crane, a nurse who lives in this vicinity.
Dorothy Crane. Oh, I love the name. The Crane of Whitechapel. Sounds very mysterious. But, sorry, no, never heard of her.
What can you tell me about an old man called Darius?
Darius Petrescu? Yes, I know him. At first, I thought he was only a small publisher. I invited him to publish my work, but his reaction was pretty clear.
Not interested in your talent?
Darius is an old political activist who takes delight in printing tracts and lampoons. Those communist activities only require mediocre writing skills.
I'll leave you alone, sir. Darius is a bit less of a mystery now. It should not be that difficult to incite him to let me in.
Надо сгонять в убежище.
You are blinded by your fault.
Ты мне нужен мужик, нет?
Stay imprisoned by your daily routine.
Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Жизнь пощади. Туда? Простите.
It's locked, all right.
Твари. Кадеина не хватает. Надо купить кадеин. Это просто дает от бронхита, пневмонии, сепсиса,